This video is about musculoskeletal injuries, or MSIs, and the steps that Nova Scotia's long-term care support workers can take to avoid them. MSIs are the most common type of injury reported by long-term care support workers. These sprain and strain injuries to the muscles, tendons, and joints can cause discomfort, pain, stiffness, and in some cases, an inability to use the affected part of the body. The good news is that we know how to reduce the risk of these all too common injuries. To help you understand more about these injuries, let's ask an expert.
Hi, I'm Sean Button, ergonomist with the Workers' Compensation Board of Nova Scotia. We know that MSIs are a result of four main hazards. These hazards include forceful exertions, awkward or sustained postures, repetitive movements, and tasks or movements performed over a long period of time. In this video, we will review common tasks performed by support workers in a long-term care home. The focus of the video will be on tasks that involve repetitive movements and longer duration activities. Potential hazards will be identified, and some possible solutions will be reviewed to show how the chance of a musculoskeletal injury can be reduced. Can you see these hazards in the different tasks shown in the video? And can you think of different, safer ways to do the work?
Hey, Sean.
Hello.
So glad you could make it.
Thank you.
Oh, listen, we've identified so many problems after doing the risk mapping and the discomfort surveys.
Yep.
We really want your assistance in looking at what our findings are for the nursing staff, the kitchen, the laundry, and the housekeeping. Is that something you think you could help us with if I show you what our stats look like?
Yes, definitely. I'd be
Awesome.
more than happy to help.
Oh, you're our man.
Perfect.
Come on
Let's get
in,
going.
Sean. Oh, hi, Claudia. I see you're hard at work. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to introduce you to Sean. He's here with WCB. You know, over time, with all of the audits that we've been doing, we've really noticed that you guys have brought forth a lot of concerns with your strains and pains, mainly because of all the repetitive movements that you do here in the laundry room. We've identified a few things, but I'm hoping you can help us explain what your day looks like here in the laundry room. And Sean is here to sort of identify those problems, but as a team, we're going to come up with solutions to help you.
Sure. Okay, well, I start my day and I collect all the laundry, and then it's basically just a pattern of folding it all and getting it all sorted and put on the carts.
And do you notice any strain anywhere in your body? Like by the end of the day, are you hurting at all?
Well, yeah, it's a lot of standing and a lot of repetitiveness, so like your arms get sore, your shoulders.
Yeah, I bet.
Your feet.
Do you fold kind of like in the air openly, or do you use a table, or
Both.
both? And some of the things we've seen in other organizations is sometimes, especially if you're folding at one workstation, they'll put an anti-fatigue mat, which is kind of like a cushion on the floor to reduce some of the pressure on your ankles and your knees and your hips. And then one of the other things, if you are folding out in the air, trying to do like maybe long towels, making sure that your hands are at least below your shoulders, just to reduce some of the strain on your shoulders and your arms. If you do have the option to use a table that's around waist height or a little bit higher, you could use that to take some of the weight off the items and some of the strain off your shoulders and your arms to reduce the amount of pressure and discomfort. One of the other things is trying to break up your day. It sounds like you have a few different tasks that you can do, so trying to break up the repetitive folding with some of the other items that you might be able to do throughout the day is another idea. Is there anything else that you can see?
I was noticing that when we walked in, you were putting slacks on a hanger.
Yes.
And looking over, I can see that you've got racks here with hangers. Do you find that's beneficial to you so you don't have that repetitive folding movement?
Yes, it's a nice little break in between.
Oh, I certainly commend you for thinking of that. Is there any other problems you wanted to identify that maybe Sean could help you with?
We are always losing socks down underneath the bin.
So what do you do when you lose a sock? What does that look like?
Honestly, this is me getting the clothes when it falls down.
See, when I see you do that, I can actually see the strain and the pain you're in reaching down to the bottom of that bin. Can you think of anything to help?
It definitely looks tough, and maybe if you do it once or twice throughout the day, it's not that bad. But if you're losing multiple socks and doing laundry all day, the repetitiveness of that really increases the chance of injury. one thing I saw at a different facility is they put a fitted bed sheet over the top of the bin on top of the spring-loaded bottom, and then they put the laundry on top of it so it didn't have anywhere to fall down around the sides. So it does come down on the sides a little bit, but at least it protects the socks from going down in the bottom.
Yes, and then even if they do slip, they're still,
Yeah.
you can just pull the fitted sheet up.
Exactly.
It's great.
That's a great problem solver. Thank you, Sean.
No problem.
Thank you, Claudia.
No problem.
Hi, Connie. Sean's here with WCB because we've identified that there's an awful lot of potential injuries that could happen in a long-term care home, especially with all the repetitive movements that you do. I see you're cutting, and obviously that looks very heavy. So when you put something into a heavy pan, maybe Sean's going to have questions as to what does that look like? Are you bending? Are you squatting? Are you reaching?
I see you have the oven here. Would you be cooking that in the oven, or how would that work?
Today, this here would be cooked on the grill.
Okay.
But if I was to put this in the oven, I would use this here kind of pan,
Okay.
which would go in like this.
Yep.
Well, it wouldn't be cut. I would cover it and put some water in there.
Yep.
And then, yes, I would. It is kind of heavy, especially after everything is in there.
Yep.
I would have to take this out or move it. And then
So yeah, I see. I mean, it's pretty low to the ground.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
it
like
is.
a back kind of flexion, a lot of that, a little bit of an awkward posture there.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're doing that once, maybe at home, that might not be a big of a deal. But if you're doing it at work on a repetitive
Yeah.
daily, weekly basis,
Yes, it is.
the chance of injury, the chance of like discomfort in your back probably goes up a little bit. I see that you might have another oven over there. Do you
Yes.
use one over the other, or how does that
yes, I
work?
prefer the stand-up one.
Okay, why?
I don't have to bend over.
Maybe we can kind of take a look at that one and take
Sure.
the roast over to see what kind of your posture would be
Sure.
like with the one over there. I'll grab this for you.
Okay. Put that there. Open this. And see, it just right at the right level.
Oh, that
Yeah.
looks a lot easier.
Yeah, that's really good. The height of it is right in your, what I would call power zone, so in between your knees and your shoulders, which is the safest way to be maneuvering and handling different materials, which is great. When you're putting multiple items in there, do you try and put the heavier items kind of in the middle around your waist area,
Yep.
and then maybe the lighter items either higher or lower?
Or like, I would go as low as this for every item.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's right around in between your knees and
Like,
your waist there, which
just
is,
a little bin.
yeah.
Yeah. Can you show us where you
Yes,
do
I
all
could.
the dishes?
Yes, I could.
So if you can just kind of describe some of the tasks that you do in this station.
Sure. So what I would do is use this and spray the dishes, make sure all the loose food is off it.
And then when you have them kind of washed down a little bit, you
Yep.
put them in the trays, put them through the,
Yeah, I would just put it on the tray, let it push,
Oh, I see.
pull down the door,
yeah.
there it goes.
So how do you get the dishes from here to there?
2
Do
hands.
you have to carry them yourself and walk them?
Yes.
And you do that frequently?
Every time I use the dishwasher.
Okay, that's a lot of walking and carrying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you use a tray at all, or you just carry
For
them by
the
hand?
every objects like our mixer, which is like 25 pounds empty,
Yeah.
I do use a cart to put it on and take it back
Okay.
to where it goes.
You're here standing an awful lot, though.
Yes.
This is the main area for you for a long time.
here and
Do your
over-
legs ever get tired?
All the time.
Oh, okay.
But over by in front of the ovens
Mm-hmm.
is where I do most of my standing because I'm prepping food, I'm cutting food,
couple of things I see here is one, it seems like pretty repetitive movements.
Yes.
You're doing a lot of dishes, a lot of scrubbing, and definitely the scrub brush is being up high. I mean, if you're reaching up there once a day, that's not a bad thing. If you're repetitively going back and forth to get it to scrape something off on a new plate, you could just have them hanging a little bit lower. The long durations here, a lot of the facilities will put down like an anti-fatigue mat, especially because the floor surface is fairly hard, so it puts a little bit of less pressure on your ankles and your knees and your joints and stuff.
Yeah.
That could be an option if you're standing here for a long period of time.
The other place that I worked at, we used to have them in our dish pit area,
Okay.
which was very nice. At the end of the night, our feet wouldn't so tired, but
So maybe we could bring that to the Josh committee and certainly evaluate that. But I'm also looking at all the dishes. Do you put them on racks over here? Have you been at other facilities where their dish pit is similar to this?
It is pretty similar. I mean, one nice thing that I've seen before is, especially when there's a lot of dishes, like small dishes, plates and stuff, they
Even
will
down there.
have, yeah, so they might have,
yeah,
Hey.
that's the one that we usually use our plates and that on.
Okay.
and so what they would do is instead of, so when you're reaching to put items on the rack here, so if it's flat like you guys have designed here, I have to reach a little bit further, and if it's owed a little bit more, I might have to bend over and put a little bit of bend in my back to reach that far side. And so they've angled the racks up a little bit, so instead of bending to reach over and put it up, they just have it and it's within arm's reach.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Oh, hi, Brenda Lee. How are you
Hi,
making out
Shelley.
today?
Good.
Good. I wanted to introduce you to Sean.
Hello.
Sean's
Sean.
visiting us from WCB because we've really identified a lot of problems that we find with your work especially. Is there anything that you identify on a regular daily basis that you think, oh, I wish there was a better way to do this?
By mopping, you are going back and forth. You can feel it, I would say, in your sides, maybe sometimes in your back.
A lot of the issues with the mops is the repetitiveness of it. Is there anything in your day-to-day work that you might either do or you have the ability to break up repetitive kind of
I
times of
clean the
mopping?
room first. Mopping is the last thing I do.
Okay.
I clean the next room first, then I mop. I always mop last.
Okay.
So it gives me that break of continuing mopping.
Okay, that's a great idea, and it breaks up the repetitiveness, so it gives your different parts of your body that are worked a little bit harder with mopping, gives them a bit
Yeah.
of a break. I see you have a few different mops here. Is this available to all different employees?
Absolutely. Every cart that we have, they have a choice and option of different heights, different types of mops that they
Okay.
can use, depending on their height and their stature.
Yeah, that's a really great idea, because if someone's a little bit shorter, they might want a smaller, lighter mop that's a little more appropriate for their
Yes,
size.
yeah.
If someone's a little bit taller, they might want a taller mop. I see, is this the mop that you use?
This is the mop I use. This would be for, we have some shorter housekeepers to say, they would
Okay.
be more comfortable with this.
A little bit lighter, a little bit
Yes,
easier to
yeah,
move
a
around.
lot lighter.
I think one big thing with mopping as well, instead of, if you're going back and forth and twisting a lot, so a lot of repetitive movements in your torso, you could step side to side and always try and have your body facing the way your feet are. And so you can
Okay.
lead with your feet. So you can mop and go back and forth, always trying to have the face of the mop in front of you instead of kind of going back and forth and a lot of reaching. So if I'm out far to the side and I'm twisting my upper body, that's going to put a lot more strain on my upper back. So trying to go back and forth, and again, trying to move with your feet and keep the mop in front of you.
Some days I see you really struggling. You're trying to get underneath a bed to clean, if not sweep or mop. Do you find that bothersome to your lower back or your arms or your shoulders?
It can. Like, as you're mopping the room, you kind of go around the bed. So I would just do the half and the half. I wouldn't, because if you do stretch, yes, you can hurt your lower back. And if I already mopped a room to say and somebody spills something, instead of re-mopping it again, we have what you call the push mop. You just squirt this here, the liquid comes out, and then you just get that spot. And if it's really bad, then I just kind of go like that right on the spot, and it
Okay.
helps lift it up.
right tool for the right job.
Yes, most definitely.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thanks for problem solving
Yeah,
and
no problem.
helping us
Thank you.
out.
Thank you.
Oh, hi, Tracy.
Hi.
How are you making out today?
Good.
I want to introduce you to Sean.
Hello.
Hi.
Sean's here
Nice
to
to meet you as
visit
well.
us from WCB. Sean's here to help us sort of identify the problems that you have brought forth. And what I have here is actually an electronic pill crusher. The Josh committee got together and decided there must be a better way to reduce the strain and the pain on our nurses' wrists, forearms, shoulders.
If you can just kind of go over some of the, I guess, how you feel about the manual pill crusher, some of the difficulties you might have on it, and then also if you do feel any discomfort or pain when you're using it.
So we begin with taking our pills and
Yep.
we put them in here. And I use a motion like this, so it's a
Yep.
repetitive on the wrist. So it is quite, it can cause a lot of strain through
Okay.
time.
Definitely. Would you feel like in the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder, all of the above?
All of the above, but especially in the wrist, because my
Okay.
wrist is going like this. And quite often, it's quite loud at night. And so
Okay.
we're trying to do this quite efficiently.
Yep, as quick as possible.
yes.
Okay. There's two main kind of chances of injury or risk factors, I might call them. One is the repetitiveness of it. It sounds like you use it quite a bit throughout the night and a lot of repeated motions pushing down to break up the pills. And the other one I can just see from this is the wrist posture that you're trying to get up. The height of it is fairly high, so you're going up and down, and it's really kind of bending the wrist a little bit. So I just wonder if you could pull that to the side there and then tuck your elbow into the side, and then you can just turn your wrist over and go up and down that way. I just wonder if that would try and keep your wrist in maybe a bit of a more neutral posture and still have the strength to crush the pill as you would.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
Yes,
something
for
that you could try
sure.
out. Again, you could try out different situations and move it around a little bit, but trying to keep that elbow tucked in the side and trying to keep your wrist as neutral as possible when you're doing it, and seeing if any of that feels better while you're using it.
Have you had the opportunity, Tracy, to actually try this?
I have tried it before, but I'd
Yeah.
love to.
Could you demonstrate what it does for Sean?
For sure. Once we put our pills in and we just press the button, it's much
Okay.
more efficient.
Yeah, so I mean, that's-
and no wrist strain
Yep.
at all, and my posture is quite.
Yeah. Great.
I'm not having to bend over or anything. Yeah.
That's a lot easier on you and less repetitive motions. That sounds like a great control or a great solution.
Thank you so much.
Ah, you're very,
Thanks.
very welcome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tracy. You have a great day.
You too.
Thanks a lot. So, Shelley, we identified a number of different potential issues for injuries in your facility here today. And as a group came up with a number of different controls that we could possibly put in place, which is a really great thing. And I think we accomplished a lot today.
Absolutely. I really feel that you've been such a great asset in your coming here to our facility. What I'd really like to do, we're going to implement a couple of those suggestions that you've made.
Perfect.
The other suggestions I'm going to bring back to the Josh committee. We're
Awesome.
really going to see how quickly we can implement those. Thank you so very
Definitely.
much.
Perfect. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
This video has shown a selection of tasks that support workers in Nova Scotia's long-term care industry do regularly. MSIs resulting from these tasks are common, especially when these tasks include forceful exertions, repetition, and awkward or sustained postures. You've also seen how sometimes simple changes to how tasks are done can help reduce the risk of injury, and that collaboration between workers, their colleagues, their supervisor, and when needed, some expert advice can go a long way to reducing the musculoskeletal injury risk for all Nova Scotia's long-term care support workers.